fight fans? Yo, can y'all hear me out there? Loud and clear? Can't hear myself. Let me get this sound. All right. I can hear it now. What's up, fight fans? And we have an interesting episode here for you at Round One Sports Talk. I am your host, Edwin, as always. And we have a lot to talk about. Where do all fights start? Round one. Well, there was a lot to uncover and go over this fight card with Saul Canelo Alvarez and all the fights that took place on the fight card and what's like really going on in boxing. Uh, so I'm gonna start to unfold everything that took place. As you join in, let me know that you hear me loud and clear. I'm gonna let a couple of you just join the live stream. All right. So Saul Canelo Alvarez and Edgar Berlanga fought last night, and I had a lot to, you know, unfold in this fight and the way it played out. Um, I thought that the announcers that were covering the fights and a lot of the fights, in fact, were being a little biased, or it was just that, I can't expect other individuals to see the fight quite like I see it. Or is it really that this is what they're doing? And it's one of the things I wanted to talk about in the sport right now because I feel that that is affecting the sport. There were times that I found myself saying, the camera guy is not doing a good job. He's not showing the highlights of the fight. And they weren't cutting back to these moments in the fight. So that way you didn't really get to see the work the fighter was doing. So that's how I felt. The fight itself was pretty entertaining, right? When you come to think about Edgar Berlanga should have never, one, been in the ring with Saul Canelo Alvarez, and two, right, Saul Canelo Alvarez should have knocked him out. Absolutely, right? The fact that Edgar Berlanga made it 12 rounds with having no 12-round championship experience, never fought for a world title, never's been in the ring with a fighter such as the like of Saul Canelo Alvarez. And if we're judging Saul Canelo Alvarez as being the best fighter in the world, then why couldn't the best fighter in the world be Edgar Berlanga? Why couldn't the best fighter in the world knock out Edgar Berlanga? The reason why is because Saul Canelo Alvarez did bring out the best version of Edgar Berlanga, although young still in the sport. And he hasn't been in a lot of boxing situations. And you could see the experience was on Saul's side. Edgar Berlanga actually held a good held a good account of himself. He actually did box and fight pretty good. He just needed to do a little bit more. I started noticing that Edgar Berlanga was really favoring those body shots from Saul. So those punches were hurting. They were really hurting. But Edgar hanged in there. There were a lot of moments in the fight where I thought on the highlight reel, they should have showed a little bit more work done, that Edgar was popping him with the jab. He would hit him some snap Saul's neck back a few times and a few good sequences with, some straight rights and shit. They never showed that. They never talked about some of the good things that they would, mention, give him like an honorable mention during the fight. But most of the commentating was geared towards Saul Canelo Alvarez, if you didn't notice. Even when Edgar Berlanga was doing, they were like diffusing his good work. So it was making it hard to see the actual work that he was doing. So I was like, eh. But you know, um, for what it was and what we were expecting and axing from Edgar Berlanga, he did pretty good. And I think he did better than I expected. I tried to do that manifestation thing yesterday on my channel. Like I told you the outcome that I believe it was. I have receipts. I said that the correct answer was Saul Canelo Alvarez winning in a unanimous decision. Did I not say that? Yes. And then I said, well, what I'm going to try to do is be a fan today and really like just allow my inner fan bet with my heart and see if we can manifest something. Throw it in the air, see where it lands for Edgar Berlanga. Just, that's just showing support in that way, right? So he needed all the help he could get. He would never should have been in the ring with Saul. The fact that Saul didn't knock him out, I think he gave a better account than some of Saul Canelo Alvarez's previous opponents. When the conversation was more on the line that Edgar Berlanga can't beat Saul Canelo Alvarez's previous opponents. Well, after that performance, I beg to differ. I think that Edgar Berlanga showed a better account than Jamel Charlo. Hell yeah. I think Edgar Berlanga did better than Jaime Munguia. I think Edgar Berlanga was doing a lot better work, and he was hitting Canelo with bigger shots. Bigger shots. So it was good in a sense. I mean, his inexperience showed. And that's what ultimately won Saul the fight. Was he's been in more boxing situations, and he's definitely was the more accomplished fighter in that ring. And it showed. It showed. They weren't even in their careers as fighters. No, they weren't. Another very interesting fight on that fight card was Caleb Plant versus Trevor McCumby, right? And I told you guys about that mustache. I must ask you guys a question. Was that not an interesting fight? I told y'all. I told y'all. I got receipts on this one too. Days before the fight, where I started going in and really hitting, doing videos and putting the Canelo videos up, trying to get behind the fight and shit, right? Because we got to support boxing. If I'm doing a boxing channel, then damn it, where's my love for the sport then? I'm gonna be criticizing sport all the time. Nah, we got to promote some of these fights, right? I know I ain't getting paid for it, but I want to keep my sport alive. I'll tell you that much. For the dud that the UFC shot off last night in comparison to what we was putting up, like we got to put up some performances here, right? All right, so let's get behind these fighters. So leading into this fight with Caleb Plant, I was like telling y'all, remember, something in my gut tells me this fight is going to be interesting. I said it's going to be a little closer than what it should be. Because on paper, what it should have been, Caleb Plant should have wiped him down. 4 years inactivity for Trevor McCumby. You're coming off a 4-year, and we're going to get how Danny performed after only a 2.5-year, roughly. This dude is literally getting off the couch. And you were going to convince me that a guy like that was going to go toe-to-toe with Caleb Plant, or give Caleb Plant any fits in the fight. When Las Vegas odds caught wind of the fight, he was just as heavily favored as Saul Canelo Alvarez to beat Edgar Berlanga. That's how favored Caleb Plant was in this fight. What did I come on and tell you guys? Something tells me, I could see it in Trevor's eyes. It's not always goes that way, but in this case, I was like, yo, listen, My man looks like he came to fight. And the mustache looks like it came to fight too. All right? The mustache was doing good work on the inside. Yo, and he just didn't catch Caleb right on the jaw, right? But for the punches that he was hitting him, like on the shoulder, and they were showing the highlights in the fight, he was dropping Caleb with that shit. Imagine if he really kicked Caleb on the side of the head right here, or he catches him flush right here. You know, I saw Caleb in the fight was trying to wheel himself back into the fight because Caleb had to admit, homeboy had power. Yo, he had like mullet power. Him and his mullet, bro, he like mullet power activated. Chee! And he was like, did you witness the power of the mullet? And yo, Caleb was going all over the ring flying. I was like, oh shit, right? I thought Caleb was in trouble, right? So somebody in the chat was like, I think it was Armando, he was like, Trevor's turning Caleb into a seed. And bam, bam, later when Trevor, when Caleb started coming back, Bam Bam texts back, yo, Caleb planted into a tree. He's coming back, right? So the fight it had action. It had a little drama, a little suspense, you know? And I thought the fight was good. I thought it was way better than that Danny fight with Lara, okay? I thought it was way better than that, right? But Caleb, you know, he showed, and I said it. Caleb needs to realize he's the better boxer in there. He needed to realize that he was the better boxer. That's it. Settle into the fight and just put Trevor in certain boxing situations, and that's exactly what he did. Exactly what he did. And that was a good stoppage by the ref. I would like to see more of Trevor if he stays more active, doesn't just take this and go on a hiatus. I don't know, you know, I got to look more into the man because he kind of came out of like nowhere. Truthfully, truth be told, he came out of like nowhere. And it kind of like, I was like, what the hell? Like, I know I heard the name, but then I was like, you know, but anyway. So there were other good fights on the card. You had Rolly, Stephen Kubo, Fulton, right? That's an interesting situation all in itself. That goes to show you firsthand that popularity, notoriety does play a factor in this sport today in boxing with social media. There is no way Rondo Rolly should have opened up that pay-per-view card. When you had a fighter such as Stephen Kubo Fulton was just the fight before that. It should have actually been the other way around. Stephen Kubo Fulton was is a legitimate unified world champion at one time. Now Rondo, he was a champion, but I think we all know how we feel about that. As far as skills, there is no way that Rolly fight should have opened up that pay-per-view card. But it goes to show you that Rolly's star status is higher than Stephen Kubo Fulton's. And that's how it played out. So let's talk about the Stephen Kubo Fulton fight. Listen, fight fans, let's hit that like button, please. If you enjoyed the show, please support the brand. Hit the like button for me. Stephen Kubo Fulton comes into this fight, and it goes to show you that inactivity, and ring rust is the real thing. And it showed its ugly face on this card in more than one fight. It goes to show you that since the loss to Naoya Inoue, Stephen Kubo Fulton, this is the first time he entered the ring. And since the victory over Stephen Kubo Fulton, Naoya Inoue has fought 3 times. And Stephen Kubo Fulton It's just fighting. And it showed in this fight, he got dropped. He had flashbacks in this fight from just being dropped his last fight. I know his entire corner, they were like, get up. Yo, he got stretched too. He walked right into that right hand. Yo, that guy did not throw the right hand. Right? Check, 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 check. He check all night. He check all night. I go all in. And then he have that's what he did to him. If you know, you know. Right? And he hit him with that straight right. Boop! And he stretched him. Yo, I thought he was in trouble, like real bad. And he recovered good. He recovered. He did what he needed to do. Stay away. But I gotta admit, right? I did feel like Stephen Kubo Fulton won that fight. You gotta remember all the rounds. This dude was just throwing the jab. He was connecting with Stephen, but Stephen was throwing more combination punches. And for a man that doesn't have knockout power, I was hearing those punches. He has a little he has good snap to his punch. And you can see it on the dude's face, Stephen, so he can crack. He's just not knocking you out. So it's not like he got pillows and he's hitting you and these guys can just walk through his power. Nah. That shit hurts. Stephen's punching him. It hurts. He's just not knocking him out. So I felt that Stephen Kubo Fulton did do the better work in a lot of the rounds. I mean, my man Castro, he had his moments. Yeah. I'm not saying that he didn't. Castro was doing great work. He dropped them. That's a 10-8 round, by the way. That's a 10-8 round. But I think he gave away too many rounds. If he was throwing the right hand more against Stephen, I think there would have been a different fight. Yes. But technically, overall, yeah, I think that Stephen Kubo Fulton did win that fight. I felt like he did. He did enough. You got to remember, right? That if they can't determine by a point system of whose punches were more effective, they have to go to the second way of ruling and scheduling, judging a fight. Forward aggression. Who is the more forward aggressor in the fight? When you can't determine in the round whose punches were doing the more effect and which fighter was more hurt in the round. To award that round to the fighter, it's not about the volume of punches anymore, right? It's not about you can land 30 jabs in a round, and if I land one big hook and you go doing the stanky leg in the ring and I only hit you with one punch, guess who's winning the round? Me, with my one punch. Because your 30 jabs didn't have no effect on me. It was clear that my one hook had massive effect on you. I win the round. When they can't determine it, whose punches were more effective, what are they going to do? They're going to go to the forward aggression. I believe Stephen Kubo Fulton was the more forward aggressor fighter. He was the one going forward. And I believe that's why he was awarded the fight. He was he wasn't fighting backwards going the whole time. You got to pay attention to the first half of that fight. You got to pay attention to my man was throwing the jab. Then for 10 seconds, he would stop. Fulton would come in, right? So, and I'm not saying that they were going it exactly judging it by forward aggression on those particular rounds. Maybe those rounds they gave it to Fulton because of his effective punching. So that was just clear. The rounds were given to him by effective punching. Then it had nothing to do with forward aggression. I'm just saying if they could not, that's what they were doing. And then And then in the fight, right? I don't think he did enough. I don't think he did enough to beat him. When you go back and you watch the fight, you're gonna see what I'm talking about. Fulton was throwing the more combinations. You know, that shit adds up. Fulton was hitting him with clean shots. Fulton was doing that shot, and he was lunging over and he was catching him. And my man was utilizing the jab for like 70% of the round until he finally threw the right. And if you notice, right, he didn't throw that right hand for like 3 rounds consistent. He went jab, jab, jab for like 3 rounds till he finally threw it. So you got to count all those rounds he gave away. He didn't win those rounds. So you see, that's when a fighter, you know, you get stuck in particular moments in the fight, right? And you see him knock them down, boom. You see him have good moments, Castro, in the fight. Yeah, he had good moments. Of course he did. He had good moments, just far in between. He wasn't sustaining it. He was allowing Stephen Kubo Fulton just to do whatever the hell he wanted. At sometimes he was watching Stephen Kubo Fulton. He was just watching him. And he was taking breaks in between. And that's where his level of intensity didn't match Stephen's. It was like Stephen was like the little engine that could. He was trying, he was doing in the fight, he was going, and he was connecting. He beat him. He beat him in the fight. He beat him. I was like, damn, bro. I felt like if Castro did just a little bit more, he wins that fight. But I had to remember all the rounds he was giving away. That 10-8 round was big, though. I mean, the fight could have went either way, yeah. But I was like, I think Scooter edged it out. He was doing better work. He really was. He was doing better work. And then, look, tell me what you think about Rolly, right? Okay. Look how broken the sport is, right? What did you see in that Rolly fight? I respect your opinion, right? But now let me ask you what you saw in that Rolly fight, right? Did you see a boxing match? Or did you see basically a street fight? I seen dudes fight in a classroom in 45 seconds, just smoking each other, better skilled than that entire fight. Hell yeah. I seen 2 dudes get up in the class. Yo, they banging. More excitement, better form. Yo, I was sitting there like, nice. Yo, that was a good one right there. Yeah. Yo, Rolly, like, his awkward movement when the dude would he would like duck down, step back, like hunch over like that, looking like this. Like, what kind of fighting style is that? But you know what that says to me? You motherfucker, Edwin. If that guy became world champion, you made some wrong decisions in your life. And you're right. Damn it, man. Oh, if I could do it all over again. Maybe I would have took a little easy money back then. You know what I mean? Man, oh man, he became a world champion. Got the interim last night. It's what you see, right? They put another belt on Rolly. What do the fans see? What kind of belt is that? What kind of belt is that, right? 140. If Rayo Jose Valenzuela is the 140-pound WBA world champion, then what the hell do you got? You see what I'm saying? But what do you see for marketing? Why do you think Rolly was on the opening of the pay-per-view rather than Stephen Kubo Fulton, that is a much better fighter and boxer than Rolly and has accomplished much more than Rolly in the sport? But yet, Stephen Kubo Fulton was off the pay-per-view card and Rolly was in. That's crazy. Yo, check it out, Line G. Hey, yo, I'm gonna start. I'm gonna drop the link in the chat. So if anybody wants to come in and share a few thoughts, always with respect. I build a safe platform here for that you could come on if you would like, share your views or your points. If you want also to debate anything with respect, we don't have to curse at each other to get our points across. And if you can do those things, then you can hop on my live stream and we could talk about it. I'm gonna leave the link right here. Paste that. And today I'm streaming on StreamYard. So it should be easy for anybody to join. It ain't the OBS thing. So, if and then just if you're gonna come on, let me know I'm not talking to AI or anything. You're gonna have to turn on your camera, let me see you. And then if you don't want to keep it on or whatever, you can come on and you can turn it off then. But the only person that will see you the first time will be me. If you've ever done this, you know how it goes. So Rolly goes on. He wins the fight he needed to. Congratulations. He's back in the mix. What's up, Lionheart? How you doing, brother? And congratulations to him. Now, Danny, my man. What the hell was that last night, Danny? Unfortunately, I can't even say that it wasn't your night. I can't even say that. Because what I saw was Lara beat you, and he beat you outright. Lara made Danny quit, which I never thought I was gonna ever see. I thought Danny was a tough Philadelphian fighter. I thought he had no quit in him. He hung in there for the whole ass whooping with Errol Spence Jr. He's been beaten a lot worse than that. I've seen him in worse situations. I didn't think that sequence of punches were, that devastating. But it goes to show you that I guess Lara can really crack. And Danny felt those punches a bit too hard. I'm not the one in there taking these punches to the face. He is. He knows exactly what he felt. Whatever that was, it was hard enough for him to say, yo, Dad, Pops, I'm done. The commentators quickly took to, nah, Danny didn't quit. His father threw the towel in. Same shit. Same shit. He didn't contest it. It's not like he was telling his dad, yo, Dad, what are you doing? Nah, don't stop the fight. I got some in me. Nah, Danny was telling his father on the way there. You could see it in his lips. I'm done. It's over. Danny even signaled he went like that. It was Danny. He quit. He realized that he bit off more than he can chew. He allowed, once again, social media and all these antics. When he saw all these guys moving out throughout the years, jumping up, moving weight, I bet Danny sat there in his living room with his dad and criticized some of these fighters, saying, if that was me and I moved up, I would have did this, and this, not understanding truly how hard that really is to do, right? Then on top of it, right, he'd never been in that weight division. He'd never been hit by a guy that big. And let me tell you something right there now, right? That fight was boring. It was kind of boring. There was like I kept trying to think that it was gonna be the old Danny, the power puncher, the pressure guy. He's gonna come in and throw the big hooks. I thought maybe because of the inactivity for over 2 years, the ring rust was gonna show, but I thought maybe it would take him like 4 or 5 rounds to warm up. And I was convinced. I said to myself, watch, at the fourth round, they both gonna warm up. I knew Lara was a slow starter. He's in his 40s, right? And congratulations to him that he made a second title defense in his 40, being one of the oldest champions and the oldest Cuban champion in the world. So he hit like 2 milestones on one night, in fact, right? So I was like, man, but Lara was accurate with his punches and he was efficient. He didn't waste a lot of movement in his upper age. He was real smart about when and where to throw his punches. Danny was staying on the outside. He wasn't really trying to like come in. He was like scared. And you could tell that at somewhere in the fight, I'm not sure where it was or what punch it was, but he really got Danny's attention. Danny felt his power. And Danny at that point knew he couldn't risk a lot. See, Danny at that point, he was still in the fight, right? He got hit hard, I bet, but he was still trying to find his way in. And for such a layoff, I bet his body wasn't responding. And Danny was in a funny situation he's never been in. In his mind, he was thinking of all the right things, I bet, but he couldn't get his feet and his upper body to respond the way he wanted. He wasn't adjusting to Lara's punches at all. And Lara, in the first round, Danny came out with the jab, pop, right? He steps back, pop, steps back, pop. Lara quickly reads that. He says to himself, already you're comfortable. You're doing a pattern. Already you did it too many times. When Danny went to throw that fourth one that he went, Lara went right over it. And he that punch right there in the first round, I said it too. You could go look at my live. I was like, wow, that was a nice punch, right? He hit him right over the jab. And I noticed it. Yo, I think from that moment, he was a little hesitant. Danny, he was still in the fight, yes. Danny was like, oh, that was a nice shot, but accumulation of that, Danny wasn't willing to go in no more. He knew he was outgunned. And to have that as a man like Danny, man, Philadelphia fighter, a proud fighter, to concede like that, man, there was a lot going on in that ring. Danny's just not going to quit like that. He's really not. He must have hit him with some shot where like his tongue went numb or something. And that scares you. Like something could have took place with one of those punches. Like, all right, for instance, when Tank Davis, right, hit Hector, right, Garcia on the side of the head, Hector Garcia said he went blind for a minute, and I believe him. But that must have freaked him out. He quit on the stool after that, didn't he? Right? Like, yo, that's never happened to me before. When Tank Davis said Ryan Garcia hit him, he said his tongue went numb. Right? Another fighter said that too. I forget which one. There was a lot of fighters that have described being hit and something messed up happens. That can shock you. If you have never had that happen to you after a punch, all of a sudden the dude hits you and you fucking beep and it's not going away, that's freaking you out. You might think he broke something. You don't know what happened, but I can guarantee you this much. Danny's a tough kid. And I would have never saw Danny quit in a fight. So that much I got to acknowledge. I'm not going to say Danny just bitched up. No, I refuse to see that. Not a man like that. Not a man that's been in those kind of fights. No. It was obvious. Lara hit him with something he's never felt before. That was apparent. There. And remember, guys, that Lara had been, before the fight, leading into the fight, Lara had told Danny he would fight him at a catch weight. And that Lara would shrink down more weight. But in that instant, remember when I was talking about it? You were right and I was right. The belt wouldn't have been on the line. But if he fights under the weight and Lara fights under the weight right there, then the belt could be on the line. And Danny wanted the belt to be on the line. Danny said, if I was going to fight you there already or anywhere around there, then I want it for the belt. So Danny insisted it was for the belt and that he had to make this because Lara told him, you're not ready for me. You're not ready for me at 160. Danny, if you fight me at 160, I'm going to rock you. And Danny was like, yeah, right. I'm going to beat the shit out of you. And he said, yeah? Why don't you fight me at a catch weight? Danny was like, nah. I want the belt on the line. Philly fighter, baby. I want the belt. You want the belt on the line? All right. Watch what you asked for. He made Danny look bad, man. That 2-year layoff also played a part in this. Let's remember that there was a lot of things. But whose fault is this? Danny's. Who has the responsibility as a fighter? The fighter. You have a responsibility to know your limits. If you dared to be great, then damn it, that's exactly what you just did. Dared to be great. You lost. What's up, Lionheart? What's up, Bam Bam? Lionheart. Let me see if can I pop y'all shits up? Sure can. Listen, Lionheart. That's the thing. Man, look. I ain't think he was gonna knock him out. And I gotta say it, right? What did you say? What are you saying about Lionheart here, Bam? Yo, Lionheart, are you in the building? Stop playing with your boy. I see you. Hold up. You gotta turn on your camera for me. Hold on.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I hope you don't mind that I just leave my camera off. I'm not exactly presentable right now.
All right, all right. I'm taking
Yeah.
a chance. Taking a chance here.
Okay.
So how you doing,
Yeah.
brother?
Yeah. I won't be here very long because I want other people to come in. I'm sure they got more interesting things to talk about than me. But I really just want to say, man, I really love your streams. I love everything that you do. I think I've been following you for I I, I don't know exactly, probably a few months at this point. I found your channel. Trying to remember what fight it was. Maybe it was the Stephen Coolboy fight for
Mm,
Naoya, and
yeah.
it was weird because it was like this is kind of new. I'm kind of in between that casual into taking it a bit like boxing a bit more seriously, kind of like the
Yeah.
in between. Like previously, I only cared about heavyweights. I loved watching. I didn't get a chance to obviously watch a lot of these heavyweights when they were doing it because I'm pretty relatively young, like Mike Tyson and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember I was very disappointed. I didn't really like Deontay Wilder. I didn't really like Tyson Fury. I like AJ. I still like AJ to this day. But something that was going on that I found very strange is like the active fighters who I think were pretty fun to watch, and they didn't duck any smoke. They would get shit on all the time. It was weird because I'm like, well, hold on, don't we like active fighters who really get in there and give it their best? Why are you guys like giving them absolutely no credit? I mean, like when AJ lost to Ruiz, it was like, I mean, that's what happens when you fight. You don't you don't
Yeah.
win them all, right?
Right. I feel like in this sport, man, you you hit a interesting topic about in America, as Americans, I feel that we're not easily impressed, or sometimes as sports, because we've seen the greats do this once or twice. And all of a sudden, I feel like if you win too much, it's always they want more blood. It's always the next guy. They never seem to want to give you, and that's kind of what we seen with Naoya Inoue coming into that Stephen Kubo Fulton fight. If you found my channel back then, the thing I was fighting against and what started me to like, really try to give back to boxing and tell what exactly I felt because of the way they were coming at Naoya in a way, calling him a hype job, and they didn't really have a not a lot of evidence on him to support their claims. They were just saying it. And one thing that I didn't like, I knew how hard it is to be a fighter and how much hard work that takes. And I have family members that were boxers, and I've had best friends and friends that were world champions. And I know how hard that is for your blood, sweat, and tears for someone to come and try to shit on your body of work. And I didn't just want the people to shit on another great fighter like Marvelous Hagler, like a lot of legends that were highly criticized back in the day for either their skin color or because of popularities. They wanted the other guy. They just didn't want you. And that's what launched my campaign to support some of the best fighters we have today, to bring that to the light. And at times I felt like I was on a cliff by myself, like fighting upstream, trying to promote and not be biased. And it seemed like, that was one of the hardest things to this day too is try to, be fair to the fighters, not try to be so enamored because of what everybody else says. So yeah, that I mean, I just try to do my best with that.
Yeah, and I definitely appreciate you for it. I mean, a lot of channels at the time, going back to Cool Boy, it was like, oh, yeah, and I still hear it every now and then, or I see it. People will say, Naoya wraps his hands a certain way, or
Mhm.
oh, whatever program that he's in, like drug testing program. Oh, in Japan they protect their fighters. He must be on drugs. How else can he knock people out? Or Stephen Coolboy's going to be so slick and so fast and so strong. I'm telling you, this guy's a hype job. Then he gets in there and he completely obliterates him. Instead of just being like, all right, look, no, it can fight. I got to give it to him. It's like, well, who's Stephen Coolboy really? I mean, come on.
Yeah, yeah,
Like this guy, let's be honest here. He never stood a chance. That don't impress me. No, you got to fight this guy over here. And he beats that
yeah,
guy. I mean, the second he fights someone, all of a sudden they're bums, right? Like Nonito Donaire is all of a sudden this 100-year-old man walking on a cane when he beats
yeah.
him. Right?
No,
Come
no,
on.
but Arthur Benavides could be 39 years old fighting against Dimitri Bivol, and we all want to watch it.
Oh yeah,
39,
he's a bad dude.
39 years old. He's 30. He has 100% knockout ratio, but he's 39 years old. He's 3 years older than Nonito Donaire was when he fought Naoya Inoue. But we're not calling him an old man. And that it just goes to show you that it's not every person doesn't age the same. It's depending on what they really look like in their performance, right?
Mhm,
Lomachenko was considered of age when he fought Devin Haney, but I had to admit Lomachenko looked great.
mhm,
He didn't look like no like tomato can or anything like his age was affecting him. In fact, Donito Donaire was so good that after the loss against Naoya Inoue, he went on to win the WBC world title. Did he not? Then he got
yeah.
another crack at Naoya Inoue because he had one of the belts. That's how good he was. That he was still world champion caliber. And mind you, Nonito Donaire knocked out the French dude that was undefeated, that beat up Naoya Inoue's kid brother for that belt. So that
Mhm.
French dude was good. And Nonito Donaire knocked him out. See, this is if you let these guys tell it, they're just gonna go after these guys and support the fighters they want, or the fighters they have in mind. Because if you really think about it, come on, man, Lion, you had to hear me say this 100 times. 23 world consecutive title fights. Are you
Yeah.
kidding me? That's
Yeah.
amazing. That is amazing. And then when Terrence Crawford finally got his fourth weight division, it wasn't like he can beat his chest and they could say, "Hey, Terrence Crawford finally got four weight division." Now Inoue was like, "What took you so long?" I've already been
Yeah.
here.
You know what's interesting? You know, the topic of a boring fighter, maybe like Shakur Stevenson, stuff like this comes up where, I'll talk with like some guys at work and they'll say, everyone kind of has different opinions of what they think is a boring fighter. But at least for me, what I'm starting to realize, I just really like an active fighter, right? Like, obviously, my favorite fighters are people who can knock people out, who actually have skills. Again, like, no, this guy can outbox you for 12 rounds if you're tough enough to last. He can knock you out. He can take a good punch. He can do all that, but you don't really need to do all that for me. I just like when you get done with a fight, I want to know when the next time you're fighting. You know what I'm saying? Like the guys who fight like a year and a half, that kind of stuff. It's like, man, I can't follow you. You're not.
Right.
It's like you're a part timer, right? Like, I would like Shakur Stevenson. I don't find him the most entertaining guy to watch, but if this guy was fighting like every 5 or 6 months, even at least twice a year, although realistically, I think 3 times a year would be pretty nice. I would like him a lot more, and also you got to stay off of Twitter. I mean, I said this before in your in the comment section. It's like Shakur should take a page out of Naoya, talk with his fist, man. Just get in there and show people, because I do think Shakur Stevenson can beat Gervonta Davis. You probably disagree, but I think he's got a really good shot. I think he can beat at least this version of Lomachenko. I think he could really do some real great things, but um, he's not active enough. Although his brittle hands aren't really his fault. Floyd kind of had that same issue. Um, sometimes your hands are just hands. Realistically, our hands are made to be like play piano. They're not really supposed to
Right.
impact on people's
Yeah.
skulls and everything.
Now,
So I can't blame him for that.
yeah. Shakur Stevenson, like you said, right? He's very, very talented. The problem with Shakur Stevenson is that Shakur Stevenson devised a boxing style that caters to a winning boxing style. He'll win the fight. It might not be fan pleasing, but he's going to win the fight. In order for you to outpoint him, it's going to take a lot. He understands distance, timing, he makes reads, and he makes adjustments, which is very scary for a fight. The situation is starting to unfold where we're starting to see that his hands are not as good. Now, I've I've learned this in the gym that sometimes we injure ourselves, but we don't cry about it. We like work around it, and sometimes some of these injuries accumulate. Then after a while, one day your hand just gives out, and then last month you might have had surgery on one hand. Now it's giving the impression that you got problems with your hands. Now, I've never seen him have problems with his hands in his entire career until all of a sudden until he got to 135. The also thing I started to notice about Shakur, that's when his punching power went away. When he was
Hmm.
in 130, he was a good puncher, a power puncher. Ever since he moved up to a little bit heavier, all these things. So I was like, wait a minute, is this another case where a fighter hit his ceiling and he's maxed out, but he's not really supposed to be here? Just like what we saw with Danny, with Lara. He was never supposed to be in there with him in that he was just too big. But the machismo of the man, like Tank Davis, he's not a 135 pounder. He's a 130 pounder. But he's all the way up at 140. Why? Because of clicks, views, and likes and money that motivates him. And he does stupid stuff. But if Tank Davis was to fight in his natural weight division, I don't think there's no one that would beat him at 130. I
Hmm.
really don't. Not a real prime Tank Davis. You know why? Because Tank Davis stepped up in situations that you have to like read the room, okay? Saul Canelo Alvarez, his competition came in. He's supposed to be this dynamic puncher. He can't knock out these guys. Why? Because they can fight. They're a little
Hmm.
bit better. When you put Tank Davis in with Leo Santa Cruz, He's a 3 division world champion, never been knocked out in his career. The way he set that man up, you're not supposed to do that against Leo Santa Cruz. You're not supposed to knock out these former world champion the way Tank was doing it. No one knocked out Frank the Ghost Martin like that. And Tank is showing he made it look easy. He had complete control in the fight. Even the rounds that Frank was winning, he wasn't really winning. Tank was making him work, get gas out that little bit of energy he needs to lower his hands just that much. Yo, it was amazing that when Tank Davis went up to fight Mario Barrio, if you have a chance, Lion, go watch some of the highlights, right? Tank looked like
Hmm.
a gerbil. He looked like a gerbil. His feet were this fat, right? He was round. He had no abs. His arms were round. Yo, they blimped him up. He was supposed to go in there and get his ass kicked by young Mario Barrio that was undefeated. Yo, I gotta admit, he didn't miss a beat. Tank Davis, he was just as fast, just as athletic, just as explosive, and his power came with him. I couldn't
Hmm.
believe it. What Tank Davis did is actually what Danny Garcia needed to do. And many like him. They couldn't do it. It goes to show you all men can't do that. Tank
Hmm.
never belonged in 140, and that was impressive. I mean, he didn't beat the best 140 pounder, but he did it. And he needed to like leave the 140 alone. The only reason why he moved to 135 was for the bigger names, the Ryan Garcias, the Teofimo Lopez, the Devin Haney's, the Lomas. That's why he
Hmm.
went to 135 from 130 Tank, because he had 2 belts at 130. He missed one on the scale, you know. So yeah, I think he's good. As far as him and Shakur, man, that would be a massive fight,
That's
wouldn't it?
something. That's something that I definitely would like to see. I said it before. Um, Tank definitely passes the eye test, right? Like the
Yeah.
skills and the power. I mean, that's obvious. But for me, I'm gonna have to see some unifications, man. I can't take all these kind of like CB level fighters. Like, no, I need you to get in the ring with. And to be fair, he did try with Loma. But Loma has like this cult following him. It just seems like Loma can never do anything wrong. If you hear them say it, they'll say Loma never actually lost a fight. He got robbed in all of his losses. He got robbed against Devin. He's this perfect fighter with no weaknesses. And yeah, so what? He doesn't want to fight another Ukrainian. Like, yeah, who cares? Let any, and I don't want to make a race thing out of it, but let any black American fighter. Let Tank come out here and say, you know what? I don't want to fight any black Americans. That dude would get dragged through the mud. This
Yeah.
strange double standard
It is.
that
No,
exists.
no, because that's why when they say they call us the Westerns or the Americanized, or we won't succumb to your American ways, right? You know, um,
Mm,
because we're built like that. We'll attack each other for number one status. And over there, there's too many far in between of them. That when you have another guy that is equal in talent, you're both representing your country. And those part of the world, respect is really high. You can't just talk down to a man because all of a sudden you deem yourself this false status. You actually have to have the status to talk down to another guy, right? Because they won't let you get away with that. And other like Japan, China, the bowing, the respecting of your parents, it's just a lot. So when they look at us as an Americans, I can imagine what they think of us. I can imagine what they think of how we treat our parents, our kids, like versus a Japanese dude, how he has respect for it. They bow when they talk, and if they ask you to shut up, the kid would shut up. In America,
hmm.
they'll be like, "Fuck you," and they're gonna swear
Yeah.
back to you, and things like that. So it's definitely based on culture, and America has definitely lost its way in that. We're Americans. We love controversy. We love the Conor
Hmm.
McGregors, the shit talkers. I believe
Yeah.
there should be a healthy line of shit talking. I don't think we should talk about people's kids or wives We should keep it within the fight. I'm a firm believer in that. But as for styles make fights, and it's basically what it comes down to with Tank and Shakur. You know, um, the Americans gotta be a conscience that boxing is like the Olympics, is a global sport, and we can't always take out each other and give the other guys two opportunities to beat us because they don't want to fight each other because they're countrymen and they
Mhm.
show respect to their other fighter. So that's good for you. It's okay for Saul Canelo Alvarez to come on and say, I don't want to fight Mexicans. Okay, cool. That's cool for you. So where does that leave the pressure on our guys, right? So what he
Yeah.
was going to do, he was going to fight Joe Cordine, which I didn't like the fight, but I respected it because of activity. What you spoke
Yeah.
of, like, you
Activity's
know,
big.
yeah, I would have took it because of the activity. So, and look, it might have been a blessing in disguise that he hurt his hand, because I'm hearing now, after he heals up from the injury, he will be fighting William Cepeda, Shakur Stevenson, for his next fight.
Oh, I think that'll be a pretty fun fight.
Yeah.
I think Zepeda definitely potentially has a style to beat him. But again, that
Mhm.
if you're a boxing fan, you want to see if that's true, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm not interested in this land of make believe where this guy will just clear out the division and do this and do that. It's like, listen, like I just
He
want to
hasn't
see the
done it.
fight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How
you
can you
gotta
give him
actually
credit
do
for
it.
something? Yeah, how can you give him credit for something he hasn't done? And that's where I'm at, Lionheart. I'm with you on that one. No, no,
Yeah,
Lionheart, we're from the show me state. You're gonna have to
yeah.
show me.
You're gonna have to
I
do something. You say you can do a backflip, we'll do it.
Yeah,
you
let me
know?
see that shit. Let me see that shit right now. Right? You can't just tell me, right? So
Yeah.
I'm 100% with you on that. We're gonna have to get some of these. And Lionheart, tell me.
Mhm.
Sometimes some of these fighters, right? They get mad at us, right? They're like, oh, round one sports talk said this about me, right? And I'm like, hold up, I'm only holding you to what you said.
Yeah.
You went in there saying you were going to knock this guy out. You said you were the best fighter in the world. You said this. You said that. I'm just calling you out on what you said. So all this pressure, it was really put on by you. Had you not came out on social media and said, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, I'm going to unify the division, then when all of a sudden somebody offers you a shot of a title and you don't take it and we call you a duck, then you're the one that said this.
Oh
We were,
man.
so
Brian Norman Jr. Don't get me started on that guy. I
he should have he should have never started negotiation, and that's my he started the negotiation. They kind of bluffed their way to there. At the end of the day, I'm on the side that, unfortunately, since you started this negotiation, then walked out of it, you're gonna be labeled the duck,
you know,
because
I watch a channel called D Style Boxing. I don't know if you ever heard of him. He had brought up something. I think he calls them belt holders. It's like these guys who they get their hands on a major belt, right? Maybe they have an interim, they get upgraded, or the case may be, and like they are not interested in legacy. They don't care about like, okay, now I'm going to see if I can become undisputed. What they do is they'll get a belt, they'll fight their one Manitou or whatever, and they'll just wait. They'll wait for someone who really wants to be great, who's like, okay, I want all the belts, I want to become undisputed, and then maybe I'll move up or see how many title defenses I can get. They'll wait for a guy like that to come in. And then when they're like, okay, hey, I got, two belts, whatever, you got that belt, let's rumble. The belt holder would be like, oh, hold on there, buddy. I want like triple. I want like 5 million. I want crazy money, right? Because they know they're willing to take a beating. They just want to get paid. And now, if you're someone who's trying to do great things, it's like, goodness gracious, I'm getting a runaround from this guy. He's asking for way more money than probably either of us are worth. That guy would just sit on that belt and he'll wait because if you truly care enough, you'll give him the money, and it's so demoralizing. It's so unfair. It's like, man, why did you even get into this business if you didn't think there might be some risk, right? Like, you're a fighter, aren't
Yeah.
you? Well,
Yeah.
fight.
Right, right. Everybody's situation. I feel exactly what you're saying, Lionheart. Everybody's situation, though, I feel is different. But you're right about this one. If you're gonna go into negotiation and you're gonna try to the thing is that this went in as far as Jerron Boots in is saying, give him some money out of my purse to make them happy, just for him to fight me. Then Brian Norman Jr. is going to fight on an undercard for a lot less money in his next fight rather than fighting Jerron Bruce Ennis. That was just a bad look in entirety. But I always got to remind myself, Lionheart, one thing. There's just this one thing that every now and then on my channel, I throw it out there. And I have to remind us that boxing is a business disguised as a sport.
Mm. Yeah, you did say
Sometimes sometimes there's a business aspect and a business side to this that can make the fights not occur. There's a lot of greed. Um, and I don't think it's about a case whether Jerron Boots Ennis is scared of Brian Norman or Brian Norman is scared of Jerron Boots. I don't think it's that. I think if you let
that.
these guys fight, they would fight, right? I just think it's about sometime money, who's going to take the lead, promotional companies, networks, not working with each other. There's a lot of inside things that sometimes we don't see. And I understand that. It's frustrating. Yes, it is. It could be, it could give you this false impression that this guy doesn't want to fight him. But I am in agreement with one statement, and this is this. Who
Mhm.
am I who am I to determine what Brian Norman feels he's worth as a man in a boxing? Before I say, Brian, they offer you 1.7, that's way more than what, you know what? If he still didn't feel that that was enough, or maybe he was pricing himself out, maybe he was trying to slide out the back door, and which is true. But I still can't criticize a man for asking for any a dollar amount. Who am I? I'm not going in there getting punched in the face. He is. So you better get the most you can get, because once it's gone, once your era is done, your career is over. So if you're at the height and you're in a situation where you can ask for this much money, I tend to allow them to work it out. When they don't come to an agreement, that's when I step in. I'm pissed off. I'm like, yo, what the hell? Right?
Mm.
But I really can't give them shit for that. But I can also be critical on him and say, Brian Norman Jr., if you didn't want this fight, then why did you just clout chase? Because that's what it makes you look like. Because if you wanted a fight and you wanted to unify, like you said, what is this sport about? The belts. It's not about money, is it? Right? I would fight
Mhm.
you for free for a belt. So you're right. It's about legacy, right? But
uh,
at the end of the day, there's a business aspect about this. I gotta be reminded that sometimes the business fight can be a little fucking, you know, and it can be a pain in the ass for us. And sometimes I might not understand it, but hopefully we'll get these fights.
yeah.
Lionheart, what'd you think about Edgar's performance last night against Saul? What'd you think?
What's really interesting about that is when I called, like, it was gonna be a unanimous decision for
Yeah,
Canelo. It was just pattern recognition. Canelo doesn't. Dimitri Bivol gets a lot of crap for this, and so does Shakur Stevenson. But Canelo also, he won't get out of, like, the first gear, man. Like, if he knows he can hurt you and he knows, like, you're scared, and especially after he knocked you down, my man does not go for it anymore. He can't be bothered. He's like, look, you can't hurt me. You can't knock me out. I'm better than you. I got you running scared. So you know what? I'm just gonna pull forward. I'm a hit you here and there. You know what I mean? But I don't need to knock you out. I don't care about that. I'm winning this fight. You and I both know it's over. And so now I'm totally fine to coast until, the end of the fight. So like even though I most likely knew it was a unanimous decision, obviously ended up being that. In my heart, I was like, I don't see Berlanga making it out of like the sixth or seventh round. you know, that's what I really thought because Berlanga's been dropped by a guy who, obviously don't hit as hard as Canelo. So I'm gonna tell you what, he did better than I thought. I thought he was just going to get turned into like meatloaf, and maybe he might quit. I thought he might like fight Canelo. I thought he would try to like find a way out of the fight. I thought he would try to like foul him. He'd do that thing like sometimes when fighters are losing, they know they can't win. They'll like
Yeah,
try to disgrace themselves. That
right.
way they can look tough after the fight. They'd be like, "Oh no, I would have fought. I definitely would have messed them up. They just stopped the fight. You know what? Because you're like headbutting them. You know what I mean?
Right,
So he
right,
he
right.
definitely did a lot better than I thought. But I'm gonna tell you what. I am happy when I look at like other channels. I'm always happy when like a fighter's stock rise up after a loss because
Yeah,
you and I both know losing is not it's not the end. Canelo's got two losses. All our favorite fighters, Ali, Mike Tyson, Sugar Ray Robin, Leonard, Roberto, whatever, you name them. Joe Lewis, all of them have losses. Nobody really cares that you lose, right?
no,
We just want to see you. We want to be entertained, and we want to see what you do next. And so Malanga is now in a position he can say, moving forward, especially if he like really makes it big. Like, look, I was in the ring with a pound for pound fighter, arguably the best in the world, at least
right.
at one point in his career, right?
Hmm.
And so now the Munguia fight maybe looks like something that people really didn't care for, but they want to see. I've been hearing people say him
Caleb
and
Plant.
Caleb Plant. Yeah, Caleb
Right,
Plant's the name that I've been hearing a lot. You know what
right,
I'm saying? And now
right,
Berlanga can say, "Oh, Caleb Plant, you got knocked out. I didn't get knocked out. What you want to do?" You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. We'll
right,
see where Berlanga goes from here.
right, right.
Again, the best part about it is like when a fighter loses, but now you really want to see him. I think that just makes the sport better. Maybe these
Yep,
fighters
yep.
start thinking, like if Brian Norman Jr. fought against Boots, and I think you brought this up, right? Where he really like made Boots go into his tool bag. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like there are some rounds where Boots might be doubting, like, man, this dude he's the real deal. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Right,
really gonna have to dig deep to win. Even if Brian Norman Jr. lost that fight, the possibility of bigger paydays, it's like,
right, right.
they're gonna be there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's like Isa Pitbull Cruz's stock went up after a loss to Tank Davis. That's like Ryan
Yeah,
Garcia. That's like Ryan Garcia's stock went up after taking a loss to Tank Davis. You know,
yeah,
guys' stocks did go up. Why? Why? Because one, they were either fan pleasing or they gave a good account of themselves. In the case with Saul Canelo Alvarez, and Edgar Berlanga, they were so far apart on paper versus, you know, 12 round championship experience, title fights. Edgar Berlanga had no championship experience. He's never fought for a title, never competed for a world title, never beat a former world champion. I mean, all the experience on paper going into that fight. I was just trying to hype up myself up because I knew that the Mexicans were going to count the victory over the Puerto Ricans and our little rivalry. You know, some people are poor, right? So it's funny, it's cute, right? So I'm like,
yeah,
all right, y'all, come on, let's go, right? But, but at the same time, I was quite aware of the uphill battle Edgar Berlanga had on that night. He was going into a ring with a man that highly decorated as gradably, arguably one of the best fighters we still have today, and in once upon
yeah,
a time, the best in the world. So you're taking a kid with no 12 round experience, never competed for a world title, and he came out and gave that kind of performance. That goes to show that he really locked in and you brought out the best version, at least the best version of Edgar Berlanga. You didn't make him a better, like pro se skilled fighter, but to the best of his ability, you brought the best out in him. And kudos to Berlanga for weathering the storm and actually making the fight interesting. I really believe he gave a better account than Jaime Munguia, and I think he hit Saul with cleaner shots, stronger shots.
Hmm.
I think Munguia might have looked, they got their own unique styles, but overall, he lasted to 12 rounds. He could take a moral victory. He can say he shared the ring with a Hall of Famer. Saul
Hmm.
Canelo Alvarez is definitely a Hall of Famer. So
Oh, no doubt.
Edgar Berlanga can take this as a learning experience. He can learn from a fight such as this what he needs to look like and what is it going to take to beat a fighter such as Saul Canelo Alvarez. Once you're in with a man like that, I believe that you know you you stand to learn a great deal. So let's see where Berlanga ends up from here.
Yeah,
Who's his next fight? And the Caleb Plant fight, I think, is the one that makes the most sense.
I think so too.
The arguments they had in the crowd with
Yeah.
the Sabu, you know, and I think anticipation that they knew Edgar Berlanga was going to lose. It was just up to how would he perform, and I think he did the job enough to secure a good fight with Caleb Plant. Both of their names, they could headline their own card, and let's see where it goes from here, and then see if it picks
Yeah,
up.
yeah,
So yeah.
most definitely. You know what's real interesting, man, is I didn't really become much of an AJ fan. I think until I kind of knew about him, but um I think it was after his loss to Usyk, actually. His loss to Usyk, and then I kind of went back and kind of see everything he did up to that point. He lost that second time. He had the little freak out and everything, and seeing him rebuild himself, get his mental back right, get some confidence boosters. I'm like, man, this dude is. Everyone kind of makes fun of him and everything, but this dude is an actual fighter. He's got more than enough money to just disappear off to the sunset. But here he is, still trying, like really getting dust himself off and be like, all right, where do we go from here? And I just find that very admirable. So it's
Yeah.
interesting. Fans, with Orlando, whatever the case may be, like you can again, you could become a household name after losses. I really do hope that continues to be the narrative that gets pushed forward. You know what I'm saying? Like when the day comes, now Inoue fights at like, you know, I don't know how high he can get. We'll see. But say he goes up to 126 and he gets knocked out. That's gonna be heartbreaking for me, man. This is my favorite fighter, but I'm not just all going to say, oh, you know what? Now he sucked anyway. Oh my god, he lost. This guy's a fraud. This guy's a. It's like no, like this is what happens when you're a guy who's like fighting the best all the time. One of these guys, listen, now a new way is gonna not eat his Wheaties that morning. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, someone's gonna bother him with a drug test at night. He's gonna be on like 2-3 hours of sleep, and the next guy is who's been dreaming about this moment, taking it as serious as possible, just in and out the gym. He's gonna have a good night, and he could beat him. Now, I don't see Nelly ever getting knocked out, although it's possible. I see his first loss, if it does happen, probably being like a decision or something like that, with a much bigger guy. And all I'm gonna say is like I want to see what happens next. I don't just get rid of fighters because they lose. That doesn't
Right.
make any sense to me. But let me say my last thing, and I'm
Mhm.
gonna get out of here. What do you think about this? Right. Um, I was really I'm very much disappointed with how the 140-pound division is going lately. I remember, Devin had just moved up and beat Prograis, and I liked that fight. And I like Devin, although Devin has been really testing my patience lately. We had Subriel Matias, and he was always looking for a fight, but it was very difficult for him to get it because people don't want to get no mossed.
Right.
We had Raleigh there, and I don't care about Raleigh. Raleigh's gonna. I thought he was just gonna lose his belt pretty soon anyway. I don't really care about him. And then we had Teofimo Lopez, who I was still of the opinion that he fights the level of competition, but now I think we're seeing like Tio is just stagnant. I don't think he's getting better. I think like even though he's so young, it's like you're somehow like you might actually be getting worse. In fact, I don't think it's a matter of him, fighting the competition. I think my man is just lazy. I think you said it best. Like there's being in good shape and being in fighting shape. I think Tio keeps himself in shape, but I don't think my man is sharpening his tools. You know what I'm saying? He seems to be preoccupied with doing anything else but trying to put in good performances anymore. And so now Subriel obviously lost to Liam Paro. No shame in that. I'm interested to see what Subriel does next. Devin Haney, what is he, a champion of recess, whatever that means, after his loss to Ryan Garcia. Raleigh got beat by Isaac Cruz. I don't care about Isaac Cruz very much. And given how short and small that guy is, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't think he's very skilled. Again, his claim to fame was, losing to Tank Davis, and so I always thought that he wasn't gonna really make it as like a real champion at 140. I always kind of just saw it as like a move to hopefully get his rematch with Tank, and so he can have another good payday. And now we have, what is it, Jose Venezuela, right? And I
Yep.
and I kind of like him. I think he's a pretty cool guy. Hopefully he has the unification mindset, but like it just kind of seems like 140 is kind of in this place where we'll see what again. Liam just got his belt. We see what he does next. I think Jose isn't going to be fighting till next year. Although I've heard some rumors that he might have a rematch with Cruz, or Isaac. Devin, I don't know what's going on there. I think he wanted to fight Liam, but it fell through because he priced himself out or something. And Tio, this guy is just, man, he's just not a serious guy. He wants to fight Ryan, and he wants to fight Tank, and he wants to fight Terrence Crawford. I'm like, how about you just focus on your division, man? You're a 140-pound champion. How about let's get some unifications going, man? He's looking everywhere else but the 140-pound division. And I'm just very disappointed what's happening because at one point I was really excited in the next step of 140, but now I'm like, man, it just seems like it's like the welterweight division now. Like I don't think we're quite there yet, but it's like nobody wants to. Everyone just wants to stay in their spot and just stay stagnant. No one wants to really do anything great. Now again with Liam, we'll see what he does, but maybe he could be the one to really start getting these unifications going. But what do you think about the 140-pound division?
Okay, I'm gonna answer like all of your questions real quick right here. Watch this. Okay, so Devin Haney right now is rumored and going negotiation right now with Liam Paro, and they want to set a fight in Australia. But I don't think that Devin Haney wants to take the fight with the 10-pound rehydration claw. Being the champion in recess, what that means is that they honor him as a champion. So if he does take the fight with Liam Paro, that means that the WBC will trump the IBF 10-pound rehydration claw, and Devin Haney doesn't have to use the 10-pound rehydration claw if Liam Paro is not careful in signing the agreement, because Devin Haney is a champion in recess, and that's a rule that is in place if you're not aware of it. So he needs to be careful with Devin Haney. As far as Jose Rayo was rumored to want to fight Tank Davis, but later recanted. So he can't make the November date. So what the PBC was trying to do was rotate the schedule, put someone else on the November date, and put Tank Davis and Rayo on the December date. But Rayo still doesn't want to fight there. He's trying to fight in January, February, somewhere around there. But you see, that's where you say the 140 should be concentrating on the 140. He shouldn't be fighting Tank Davis, the 135-pound champion, right? He should fight somebody in 140. Okay. As far as the other guys in the weight division, right? You're gonna have, which what we were gonna get was Sandor Martin versus Poles, and they was gonna fight for the complete WBC world title. Then it was rumored that the Russell brother was on deck to find the winner of that one in the 140. what you're saying about Teofimo Lopez is is accurate, right? That he's not getting any better. He's not getting any better. In fact, that he also just went recently and inquired the assistance of Reynoso. He, Saul Canelo Alvarez's coach. While Saul Canelo Alvarez was going into preparation for Berlanga, Teofimo Lopez was training with Canelo and Reynoso, and he announced that Reynoso now is going to be his new head coach, not his father, but that his father's still going to be there, but that his father's getting Teo some real help now, some real world-class training. So he just started this with Reynoso. He hasn't ever had a fight with him. Let's see where that worked and how that turns out to see if Teo gets any better, because even you saw it as a fan. You were saying, and look what behold, they are trying to get Teo that world class coaching that he so desperately needs. He's tricky. He's a good, crafty fighter, but you can see that with your own words, Lionheart, he is not progressing. So with the next champion, who was it? We covered the IBF, the WBC, and we covered the WBO. Who has the WBA in 140 right now? Um, um, WBA. Jose Valenzuela has the WBA. Okay, so Tio has the WBO. Nobody has the WBC, and Liam Paro has the IBF. Yes. So, well, Liam Paro was rumored to want to fight Devin Haney, which I don't think Devin Haney should take that fight, because I think Liam Paro will beat Devin Haney in
I think
Australia.
Devin still hasn't. He still haven't recovered like mentally from that ass whooping.
Yeah, no, it's too soon. It's too soon. It's been like 4 months since that
Yeah.
ass whooping Garcia put on him. You know. So yeah, we got another gentleman here wanting to join us in the
Okay.
live stream.
Yeah. Let me. Okay. Yeah. So listen, man. It's. I swear. Man. I feel like if like I could talk like 10 hours with you. It's just always like good stuff. Again, I love the show. I really like this community. I like interacting with people in the chat. I like the way you break things down. I learn like so much. You just an incredible wellspring of information. I like how passionate you are about boxing, especially since you were a boxer, so like you really know what
Yeah,
you're talking about. You were a
I
boxer and now a boxing fan. I'm definitely looking forward to like anything that you do. And the last thing I want to say is, like I said before, this Nostradamus belt. I am the original holder of this belt. I got it right now. That was an easy pick. I told you it was going to be an easy pick. Okay. I'm currently the reigning champ. That's right. That's my belt right there. Keep that nice and polished before you send it to me.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
saying. Yeah.
And
Thank you for
I'm gonna.
the world champion to make a guest appearance on our show. You know what I mean?
And again, I love you, man. Keep doing what you
All right,
do,
man.
and peace out.
Yup. Good night. Thank you for stopping by. Always. It's been a pleasure.
Yo,
What's up, baby? How you doing? State
what's
your
up,
name.
bro? Slugger Sam.
Slugger Sam, how you doing, brother?
Hey, I'm good, man. I was listening to the stream a little bit earlier, and then I just started listening again. But yeah, you ended up in my algorithm like 2 weeks ago. I've never heard of you before, and then your channel ended up in my algorithm. I go to a few other boxing channels, but yeah, no, I like the breakdowns, man. I like the boxing talk, man. I fuck with the channel. I fuck with the channel, man.
Absolutely, man. We were talking about some of these fights last night, the card, and if you have anything you would like to share on these fights, or what you thought of them, or what fight really surprised you out of if any of the fights last night.
I would say Danny quitting on the stool like that. That's not for Danny, bro. That's not the Garcia I know. Um,
No,
and I mean it was a jab too. Like I just I was as soon as it happened, right? I was like, wait, what? Like what? We're just You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I'm like, it's a jab.
right, right, right.
It
No,
was a jab.
I felt like, maybe he had a good poker face, Danny, and he was taking a lot more punches in there that didn't seem like, was hurting. I mean, he was the one that was in there, but I don't question the fighter that Danny is. For him to quit like that, he was obviously feeling something much heavier than what he was used to. At 160, never, Danny's what, a 147 pounder?
Yeah,
140
yeah.
pounder, right? He's all the way up there in 160 with Lara that, is a crafty, crafty fighter. He gave Saul Canelo Alvarez all he can handle and more. I believe that Lara won that fight. They gave it to Saul Canelo Alvarez. I understand what took place, but he definitely had enough to hold back at the time. Arguably, when Lara and Saul fought, Saul was at the number one pound for pound. He was that version of Saul. He should have been able to destroy Lion. He couldn't for a reason. And I think Danny found that out too late. Danny found out I might have bit off a little more than I can chew. There's weight divisions for and there's levels to this for a reason. He tried to dare to be great to get a third weight division, but as he learned that shit is not as easy as it sounds. Like these fighters that do have four weight divisions, like Naoya Inoue, Terrence Crawford, and the fighters that are actually doing it, they understand how hard this is. And one of the things right after this fight with Saul Canelo Alvarez was Terrence Crawford was in attendance, and he's sitting in the
Mm.
audience. He's in the audience. Turkey Al-Sheikh is sitting next to him, and Turkey Al-Sheikh wants to put this fight together. And for although their names are megastars, right? I'm of sound mind and body. I see what Canelo Alvarez is doing to us again. He's bringing up the much smaller guy, two weight divisions. If his name wasn't Terrence Crawford, would you want that fight? No. But because his name is Terrence Crawford, you would welcome it. And what if Saul beats him? What are they going to say? He beat a much smaller Terrence Crawford that had to jump up not one weight division, but two. So for that instance, I don't want to see that fight. Why? Because the fight to have is the guy that's standing in front of you. David the Monster Benavidez. He's actually
Mm.
vision. He's right there. Why
Mm.
are you trying to talk up a much smaller guy once again? Because he has a big name. So you're doing the smoke screen to us again, Saul, but you're just using Terrence Crawford's name to justify it. That's all you're doing. But if you were really about that smoke and you're really about that life, why don't you pick on somebody your own size?
That's real funny, right? To say it to a boxer because it's like that you expect them to fight somebody his size. We've been look, man. We're boxing fans. We're boxing heads, and we. I mean, I don't think there's a boxing head in the world that would disagree with you, bro. I've heard. Here's the thing, man. I'm sure you too. You've heard the narratives and the um, I heard some guys pinpoint it where they're like, oh, well, Mangia was number one for WBO and Berlanga's number one for this. I mean, come on, bro. Nobody wanted to see Berlanga over Benavides. Nobody wanted Berlanga over Benavides,
We didn't
unless
want Ryder. We didn't want none of these guys.
exactly. Now, John Ryder, exactly. You said it best. John Ryder. I mean, fucking Yale Drum for fuck's sakes. Don't get me started on Yale Drum, bro. Don't get me started. But yeah, yeah. Here's the thing. I'm with you, right? And I try and see things from a fifth dimensional aspect. I've heard some rumors about something about Benavides not activating his Mando, but here's the thing: I've never ever heard of that. I've never heard that that's how boxing works. That you have to activate a Mando. So again, I'm not really convinced on that. I do think
Yeah,
I think the way Canelo, you got to admit, Canelo's been talking that shit about if you don't respect me, I won't give you the fight. And that I mean, if that's what's stopping the fight, then we could kind of say you're ducking.
Right. If you're not kissing me at my ass, I'm not calling the fights. That's what you're saying. But
Right,
okay,
right, right.
okay. Sam. Here's the thing with the WBC and the rest of the or sanctioning bodies, right? In the IBF, they go by a ranking system. In the
Mm,
WBA, they try to go by a ranking system. In the WBO, they have like a ranking structure, is what they call. Now, in the WBC, is the only belt that they have a boxing committee. 32 board members elect who the next fighter is. It's not technically a ranking system. That's where it's confusing because
right.
the 32 board members elect who they deem should fight their champion. Now, just like there's loopholes to anything in life, there's loopholes to these belts. What Saul was doing was always fighting the mandatory for the IBF. That was the only organization that is by the book. They cater to the B fighters and the A fighters, to both sides of the street. The WBC only caters to the popular fighter. And if you want to fight for their belt, you better have a big promoting, a TV deal, because they're like bougie, right? So, but it is the best belt in boxing. If you can get it, but their fucking organization structure is straight corruption. But that's the way it is. So I could see where the confusion lies in the fact that how did Canelo was able to sustain all those belts and these people didn't strip him? Well, what you don't know is that Canelo did fight his mandatories for the WBA and the IBF. Once you fight those mandatories, they got to go to the back of the line. And the two that were in the front that were playing ball with Canelo, that were letting him do whatever he wants, was the WBC and the WBO. So they were basically letting him get away with murder. So for the years that the mandatories didn't put in their fights, he was just fighting the whatever he wanted. He was going up,
Mm,
down. He was doing whatever until the IBF's turn came back in full circle. Once the IBF came full circle, what they do? They were waiting. They were like all the protection that in these little games you were playing, Saul. Now we got you. Just like they did to just like they did to Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk, where Alexander Usyk told the IBF when they contacted him, yo, I have a rematch with Tyson Fury. And the
yeah.
IBF told him, yeah, you boxers always think you're going to tell the boss what to do. Remember, you're at work. And just because you signed a rematch clause with him, that's your personal business. That's not the IBF's organization's problem. We have a schedule, we have a ranking system, and we have a number one opponent that fought his way up the ladder, and he doesn't care about your rematch. Here's the deal. Either you fight our opponent or we strip you of the belt. And then he said, if I don't fight Tyson Fury, he's going to sue me. And they said, that's your problem. No one told you to put this rematch clause in by your own volition. We're the IBF and we got a schedule. Is your answer, are you going to fight him? Yes or no? I can't. Thank you for our belt. You know where it'll be. It'll be around Dubois' waist. And if you want it, you can go fight him after your little rematch that you put in place with Tyson Fury. Have a nice day. That's
Right.
what the
Facts.
IBF is. You see, the IBF takes the boxer and brings them back down to earth. When these boxers think they're bigger than boxing, they're going to tell the belts what to do. Not unless your name is Saul Canelo Alvarez and you make the most money and the organization saying, hey, do whatever you want. Just keep giving us that money. Right? But the IBF, they're not going to allow their belt. You see, because we got to remember what these belts mean, right? What these belts mean is the IBF organization is saying whoever has this belt, that the man that put this belt on is better than your champions. That's what they're saying. The WBC does not care what the IBF does. The IBF does not care what the WBC does. They're fighting to say that their champion, the men and women that put that belt around them, look, if I could put my belt, strip Terrence Crawford, and put it around Jerron Boots Ennis, if you ask me, that's a win-win.
Facts. Facts.
You just put your belt around Jerron Boots. That's who's wearing your belt. Let's go, champ. Right? So, you see? So let's just remember that these belts are they're competing against each other to say that the WBC champion is better than the IBF champion. Oh, you don't think so? Well, why don't we fight each other to see? And if the WBC champion was to win, then it meant that he was better than the IBF champion. You see?
Yep.
So sometimes we get lost in this. We just see belts. You know, we forget some of the subtleties in boxing and how hard this shit is to do, right? Like, yo, check it out, right, Sam? Wasn't it just last year? It seemed like everybody had 4 belts. Terrence Crawford, the Charlos, Josh Taylor,
Haney, Devin Haney,
Naoya Inoue. Everybody had 4 belts. Today, there's only one man with 4 belts that's been this disciplined, this fighting all his mandatories. It's a juggling act. Naoya Inoue is the only man that has all 4 belts.
Yep. Facts.
He's the only man besides Josh Taylor that defended all 4 belts. And he's already beat Josh Taylor by defending.
No, Canelo too. Canelo defended all 4 belts.
Yeah. No, you're right. And Canelo did defend the belts. Yes, he did. But that's real hard to do. Now, Terrence Crawford, unfortunately, man, for such a dominant champion that man is, he never defended no 4 belts because Terrence Crawford understood this. You mean to tell me that it took me a lifetime to chase these belts down, and I had to go get these belts, whether it was individually at 140 or fight one guy with 3 at 147. It doesn't matter. It took me 6 years to chase down Errol Spence Jr. And you mean to tell me on my next fight, I give you a shot at my entire body of work on one night? I could change your stars on one night. Let me ask you a question, Sam. Did you ever hear of Buster Douglas before Mike Tyson?
I wasn't even alive at the time, but I don't think people did at that time.
Okay. The thing is, that man truly is going to the Hall of Fame and has went to the Hall of Fame for beating one fighter, the undisputed champion of the world. He never won a fight after that, neither.
Exactly. Fact.
He was never going to go to the Hall of Fame. So Terrence Crawford,
he was 42 to 1 underdog.
Yes, Terrence Crawford knows the significance of, you think I'm going to give you a night to upset me and for me to stamp your name into the Hall of Fame off my body of work? Hell no. I'm not giving no fighter an opportunity. You want to go get him like I did.
That's a great point. That's a great point, round one. Great point.
Fighters are not just so eager to give you a Hall of Fame career on one night. And this man right here plays with it. He welcomes it. Listen, in a Naoya Inoue weight division, there is no other champion. He's a greedy little champion. He wants all the belts. There's only one king. There's only one champion in his division, and it's him. You don't call no one else champion. It's only me. What did you say? Who's the champion? You were talking about me then, right? Because there ain't nobody else got a belt in my weight division. Yo, he be on some shit. He just, look, when there's no such thing as Superman, bro, Naoya Inoue is the closest.
You got him as Superman.
There is no such thing as Superman. There's no such thing as a Superman. There's no man in the world that can fight the best after the best after the best after the best. There's no Superman. There's nobody that can do that. But if I'm going to judge a human, the closest fighter we have, you know what I'm saying, is to perfection is that little Japanese dude. And I got to admit, Terrence Crawford is unique and great in his own way as well. I believe for the higher weight division, he's the man, you know, and I believe for the heavyweight, Usyk's the man. You know,
Mm.
there's a lot of places where, you know, there's divisions, but there's the argument, right, Sam, that I have with a lot of people about a pound per pound list, and where that some people put heavyweight champions on a pound for pound list. And I respectfully decline that. I respectfully do not allow that to happen. I will never, and I repeat, I will never put a heavyweight champion on a pound for pound list. Why? He's already the king. He has the most prestigious belt in all of boxing. How dare we put him on a list? You don't put a king on a list with everyone else and compare him to everyone else. Because if you were to do that and you made him third, what are you saying about the heavyweight championship of the world? So by default, he's already king. The pound for
Right,
pound list
right.
is made to give eyes and recognition to the lower weight divisions so that we can see that because he was already king. So by default, the king stays off the list. We judge everyone else off skill because when you judge the heavyweight championship, do you not notice you're only judging them amongst heavyweights? When you judge Terrence Crawford, you're judging him on all the divisions. You compare Terrence Crawford to all fighters. But when you judge the heavyweight champion of the world, you're only judging him by heavyweight championships because your mind is already telling you he's not faster and has more skill than Naoya Inoue. But if you
But
were
round
to
one, I can give you a devil's advocate to that because see
yep,
I understand your point, and I do talk to a few people who don't put heavyweights on the pound for pound. The issue I have with it is you just said you kind of imagine a smaller guy being above a heavyweight on the pound for pound. It's embarrassing. Well, here's the thing: some people have Inoue in the top three. Well, I'd say most people have Inoue in the top three. Now, the rest of the list are people heavier than him. Like some people might even put Canelo at number 4 or number 5, right? And he's 168. Inoue is 122, right? 122, or
yep,
right? Yeah, or yeah, 122.
yep,
But so yeah, I get your I get the logic, right? But it's kind of an issue, the whole pound for pound thing,
yeah, it
because
is.
you know
It
what I
is.
mean. It's kind of difficult to really break it down because you're right. I mean, because technically, see, here's why you're right. Because if we're going by, you can add heavyweights. Well, let's be honest. You can almost say from number 1 to number 10 is all heavyweights because heavyweights are going to smack the shit out of a bunch of welterweights all day round, right?
No, no, no. You
So
can't
so
put
it's
Naoya
facts.
Inoue. Yeah, you can't put a Naoya Inoue in a bar with Usyk and expect him to whoop Usyk's ass. You
Right,
can't put
right, right,
you can't
exactly.
put Terrence Crawford in the ring against Usyk. That's why he has the most prestigious belt in all of boxing. So by default, I believe it was the original reason why they made a pound for pound list was to give eyes to the lower weight divisions because the heavyweight champion, that's basically what everybody came out to see. You know,
Yeah,
you were
yeah, you're
considered
right. You're
the,
right.
you know, so but the pound for pound list is supposed to be based off fighters that we judge as a whole. Throughout the years, we allowed people to implement other rules to lower the bar to get their favorite fighter in the conversation when their favorite fighter should have never been in the conversation. And I don't think a pound for pound list should be 10 fighters. Who gives a fuck who's the 10th pound for pound fighter in the world? The ninth, the eighth. You're just a great fighter. You're not threatening the number one spot at the 10th place. I believe
Mm,
if anything, they should only be five. It should be the top three and the two that's threatening the number one spot to see if you
right.
could hold the throne. The qualification should be you need to be a complete fighter. That means offense, defense, ring IQ, ring generalship, cat-like reflexes, footwork, all of it. We must judge you on a basis on all traits. You can't be a one-dimensional fighter like Errol Spence Jr. and be on the pound for pound list. Although he was good, we knew what he was going to do. You just couldn't stop him. 99% of his opponents all lost to him. The man only lost to one person. But he was a master of that one particular style. He wasn't a master, an all-around fighter. You see? Where Naoya Inoue understands distant management, timing, placement, footwork, great jab, the basic fundamentals. You got to start checking down the list to start. And Terrence Crawford had unique features that most men didn't have. He could switch from right to left. That was a bonus. You check that off. And these are the things that we should judge our fighters and not let these bums on the list. I like some of these guys that they got on the list, but I don't think that, the Charlo twins should have been all the way up the list like that. I just believe they should have been top 5 fighters in the world. And whoever they are at the time, don't take it personal. And out with the old, in with the new, the list moves around, but I just don't care for the 10th guy, the 9th guy, the 8th guy. He's just a good fighter. Who the hell cares who the 7th fucking pound for pound fighter in the world is? Like, dude, you're number 7. You're not number 9. But
you're number 7.
Yeah, that's what people, in order to let their fighter on such a prestigious list, which they consider, they had to stretch the list out to 10 fighters to get their favorite fighters in, because their fighters would have never normally been on that list. You understand?
Right. No, exactly. It is kind of fun. Like, I don't mind it in the sense that we, like, as boxing heads, we already can make the argument that we're only focusing on the top 5 anyways. Like, we might put like Bam Rodriguez as like number 7, for instance. I even heard some people got Bam at number 5, and I'm not mad at that. I'm not like, look, man, I just saw him fight Estrada the other day. Oh my, bro, I love that fight. Like, as a boxing head, that's what I want to watch all day. Bam Rodriguez versus Estrada all day, bro, all day. And I saw it. I'm like, look, I'm not gonna put him at 5 just yet, but I understand. When people are doing it, I understand. But I got him creeping up. I think I got him like number 7. So, I don't mind having the 6 to 10, just to be like, okay, like we're kind of keeping an eye on you guys. We're kind of looking at you guys, and let's see if you. But if you remember, at some point they had Jermell Charlo in that, and they had Devin Haney in that as well. In the higher numbers. They ended up falling off. I'm trying to remember who ended up taking their spots. But that's my point. We're not even paying attention like that, right?
And other fighters like Junto Nakatoni too, that I want to see before Bam Rodriguez jumps up to fight Naoya Inoue. I think that if Bam Rodriguez and Junto Nakatoni, the other Japanese fighter that is a champion at 118, right. Whoever wins out of them two, I think would put themselves, because although I love Bam, he's an explosive fighter. He faced adversity very well. He was a little embarrassed when he got dropped. Huh? What's up? I can't hear you. What? You there? Sam?
Yep. Yeah, I'm right here, bro.
All right. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Bam, yes, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Bam was a little embarrassed when he got dropped by Estrada. He shook it off. He got back to work, and he finished the fight. He showed good poise, good concentration. He didn't stay with the knockdown in his head. You could see when he came back out, he was back on his game plan. back on initiating the ass whooping. Bam's real good, strong little crafty fighter, but I would like to see him move up gradually. The one thing about Naoya Inoue, he understands the responsibility that the fighter has, that it's on him to move out throughout the weight divisions. He doesn't want to hear, I moved up, you blimped me up, and then you beat me. He wants to say, if you beat me at my best. That's why he's properly acclimating to the division at 122. The way he's doing it is freaking unique. He's using world champions to practice on to get acclimated. That's who he's choosing. Unified world champions. It's freaking remarkable, right? But every fight he talks about, he's coming in 2 pounds heavier since the Stephen Kubo Fulton fight. He's gradually putting the weight in the muscle on. He's preparing for something. You don't do that if you were happy where you were at. You would just stay where you were at. The way Naoya Inoue is moving along the 122, I can see that he's preparing to do something. He's preparing for a weight jump. He's packing on the muscle gradually. He's fighting the bigger guys that division has to offer. You know, he got dropped. He took the TJ Doheny fight, which in fact, TJ Doheny's the number 2 ranked opponent for the WBA. And Naoya Inoue is so good that some fans didn't even like the fact that he was fighting the number 2 guy. That's how dominant he is. That they were calling the number 2 guy a tomato can. Because you see what I'm saying? So because he's that dangerous. But he understands the responsibility as a fighter to perform. You're not going to trick him or talk him up to move up into the next weight division. He's doing it gradually. And that I respect him for these little things so much. He's setting the bar and the standard for a lot of men and women and young boys that are looking up. And if you ever decide to chase down Naoya Inoue's record, well, this is what you're going to have to do. And this is the level of dedication and commitment you're going to have to give to the sport to come chase a champion like me. I'm not going to make just a bullshit record with 32 fights, get all 4 belts and retire from the sport. That's not too easy to, that's reasonable. A lot of men could probably do that, right? And they have. But unify in 2 separate weight divisions, 23 consecutive world title fights, in your first 6 professional fights, become a world champion. In your 8th professional fight, become a 2-division world champion. Your next fight, jump an entire weight division and immediately challenge the champion that has not been dethroned in over 4 years and knock him out in the first round. You do anything less than that, then you didn't do it better than Naoya Inoue. How about that?
Facts, sports. And you know, when I was listening to Bam's post fight interview, that's the first thing they ask him. You moving up to fight Inoue? And he goes, look, man, let me go to the next class, get settled there, get acclimated there, and then go to the next one, and then the next one, and then we could talk about fighting him. And yeah, man, I gave the kid a lot of respect for that because it's like, these. I'm a different type of boxing fan. Like, and I don't know, maybe some of these guys act like they haven't been through struggles in life, but I'm not gonna tell Terrence Crawford. Well, I know he moved up to 154 now, but I wasn't telling him go up from 147 to 168 to get your fucking ribs broken in half by Canelo, just so I get entertained. I wasn't saying that. No, I said, Canelo, fight Benavidez. Like you were saying earlier, pick on somebody your own fucking size, right? So it's the same thing with Bam Rodriguez. It's the same thing with Tank Davis. They're telling Inoue to fight Tank Davis. I said, no, you know, if Inoue wants to call him out, okay, fine. But all I heard was you guys are telling Tank fight him. But that's why I'm really happy with the way Bam handled it. He said, look, man, We could talk about that fight down the line, but he said, right now, man, I'm at 115. Let me just move up and take care of business there, and then we'll talk about it when it's right. But I mean, when you got the guy with the microphone, getting in your face with stupid shit like that, I mean, like you almost got to give the fighter credit for not smacking him and saying like,
right,
"Shut the fuck up, bro!" Like, shut the fuck up. But
right.
yeah, look, man, Bam, Bam. I, I mean, Virgil Ortiz, right? I've always had Virgil as one of my favorites, who I want to see become like the face of boxing, or be the dog, be that
Right.
fucking the best in the game. But Bam is in that too. Like I got a couple of these killers, Ortiz, Bam Rodriguez, um, and Bam is like, bro, Bam is like, he's like a throwback fighter. He's like a fucking, he's giving me like Eric Morales vibes. Marco's like, he's so throwback, man. I love this kid, bro. I
I
love him.
like Tim Zoo for that. I actually like Tim Zoo for those same traits you just said up against Bam. I think Tim Zoo's a throwback fighter. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
Tim Zoo actually should fight your boy there, Ortiz. Right? I
What?
think
No,
that that would.
they were. Remember, they were gonna fight.
Yeah, but the cut didn't heal.
Yeah,
Remember, so they were going to come back to it because they were going to be on that big Saudi card, right?
right,
That
right, right.
right.
Crawford,
And then
Crawford.
right, exactly. So and then that's when Tim Zoo ended up fighting Sebastian Fondora and taking that massive head cut because
Mm,
Keith Thurman. Remember, he was supposed to fight one time Keith Thurman,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, so like a lot of things have came out of that. So I'm with you on one thing, right? If Virgil Ortiz, if he was rocking 100% knockout ratio coming into his last fight. He did get dropped 2 times. Very controversial fight. A lot of people said a lot of things. I saw the fight another certain way, but and then I did realize that that law was put out late. I went back and I looked up a law where if you get dropped in a fight now in any boxing match, it was going to be considered a 10-8 round or whatever, right? Because what happened was, okay, this was my scenario in this whole Virgil Ortiz thing, right? When Virgil Ortiz was knocked down, he wasn't immediately awarded the knockdown. They went back to instant replay. They stopped the fight. I believe it was like in the fourth round. They stopped the action. They notified Virgil's corner, hey, we're counting that knockdown, and they notified the other guy's corner, we're giving you the knockdown. Okay, why was that important? Okay, had that fight went 12 rounds and they never went to instant replay, the reason why that team would have said, the reason why we lost that fight is because you did not award us that knockdown. The fact that they awarded them the knockdown and they still lost the fight, you see what I'm saying? That goes
Right.
to show you where instant replay for one time, came in good, because I'm pretty sure the argument would have been, we would have won that fight if you would have awarded me that knockdown. And in fact, they gave him the knockdown and they still didn't win the fight. So, anyway, as controversial as the fight was, I believe Virgil did do some of the better work, some of the eye catching shots. And you got to really pay attention to
I think you cut
when
out again, but
I did.
yeah, there,
Hello.
you're back. You're back. You're back now. Yeah.
All right. I believe that Virgil did a lot of good work in that fight. So, now it's time for Virgil to prove, what is he, the interim champion now? Did he get the interim belt that night?
Yeah, yeah. It was the WBC interim.
Yeah, it was like a secondary belt or something. So now I really think he needs to take these fights that are championship fights. And when you get behind your fighter, right? The one thing I would imagine is to watch that fighter you supported for so long for the day that they become world champion. And you and your fighter can share that moment. This is what you thought he was from the moment you were watching him until the day you watched him be world champion. With some of these kids and what they were saying when they were coming up, like Keyshawn Davis, I don't care about the belts. So you mean to tell me you want me to support you in your career and you never care about becoming a world champion? So where is this going? Like, where are you ending up, kid, right? So they need to watch what they're saying sometimes. But I would love to see some of these guys legitimately turn into world champions and become the fighter I know they can be. And I know you feel that way about, Virgil Ortiz, and he's going to have to start solidifying some of these fights to be called that guy. So yeah. Yeah, and Demetrius Bivol and Arthur are going to be fighting for all four of those belts. So we're going to have a definitive king at 175, and that's going to be interesting. And I want to see that fight too. Those are kind of fights, yeah, I do want to see. And those are the kind of men I want to see fight for world championships, you know?
Well, that's my guy right there, Beterbiev. Beterbiev is my favorite in the game. I got, you know, obviously I got the Crawford picture up, but so you got Beterbiev, Crawford, um, you know, uh, uh, other guys too, like Teofimo Lopez, and I just said it, Ortiz. But Beterbiev is my guy, man, and you know that we've been meaning to see that for years now. Bivol, Beterbiev. Um,
Mhm.
that's a tough fight, right? Like although I can break it down in Beterbiev's favor, and just sit here and say, um, I think at some point he's gonna like he Beterbiev definitely cuts the ring off a lot better than Canelo. Like that's a fact. He's just he's got better footwork, and he stays on your ass, man, for that 12th round. But he's trying to get you up out of there quicker than that. I mean, I could sit here and give you that on how I think that fight would go down. But then again, you know how Bivol is. Bivol arguably has, the best footwork in the game or the best jab in the game. Great fighter. Well, arguably, right? You could. It depends.
No,
It's up
no, I'm
to.
just
It's a,
concerned. I'm just
yeah.
concerned. The reason why you got that reaction out on me with the footwork is because of the knee surgery now.
Oh, for Beterbiev, you're saying.
Yes,
Right,
yes.
right,
For the
right,
knee,
right.
I don't know how everybody doesn't respond the same way off of surgery. That's just a fact, Jack. You know, for us, and then he's gonna be taking on arguably his toughest challenge in Demetrius Bivol, right? Arthur's knee, I don't know if he's gonna get that explosiveness off the knee, until I actually see it, then I'll know. But I'm concerned with that surgery. They pushed back the fight a little bit. The doctor said usually, typically in this kind of situation, you'll heal up in 1 or 2 months. He literally took the 1 or 2 months serious and started training from there on. Like, Arthur looks like he fights a grizzly bear on the way to the fight.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
on my Instagram, I think I only follow 30 accounts, and they're not boxing. Like they're not all boxing. Like some are even just about philosophy, religion, this and that, non boxing related. But the boxers that I know off the top that I follow, Bud Crawford, Beterbiev. I think that's it, man. And Lomachenko. But anyways, man, the point I'm getting at is when I follow Beterbiev, right? So I see his videos all the time. He the type of strength and conditioning that he does, he does like the Olympic strength and training style. So he does a lot of squats, a lot of deadlifts. He does your bench press. And I know, I mean, I didn't hear the full story, but I'm certain he heard it, through training, training for legs, like doing squats or whatnot. Because I see him, man, he does extensive, like real explosive stuff. You know, like
Yeah.
when he's doing the bench press or the squats, he's putting the bands at the end of the bar, right? He's
Yeah.
putting those bands, and then he's trying to build explosiveness. So, uh,
Right.
yeah, listen. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I believe Beterbiev is slightly overtraining. Like I do believe Beterbiev is going above his peak, whether he knows it or not. You know what I mean? It's just that's kind of the type of
It's a
guy
real
he
thing.
is.
That's
It's
a
a
real
real
thing.
thing.
People can.
Exactly. It's definitely a
Yeah,
real thing, man. And you
it's
know,
a real
right?
thing.
You know all
Oh yeah.
about that, right? Yeah.
You can be so locked in for the event that you overtrain. You really overtrain. You do things that, in your back of your mind, you're thinking you're a warrior, you're a beast, but in actuality, you're doing um, wear and tear on your body, a lot of wear and tear. To train smart, to train efficient, the things that you want to really push yourself onto is like your cardio, like your jogging and those kind of things you want to push. The reason why we put the bands on the bench or anything like that, one of the keys to one of the things to get to your small muscles is called isometrics. It's when you, like Bruce Lee would do it. You push against a wall that you know you're not going to be able to push, and you push the hardest you can for 30 seconds. And if you do that every day, or you hang by a tree, you go outside or a pole, you grab the pole and you pull yourself halfway up and you stay there. You learn how to become comfortable there. That strengthens all your little muscles in between your big muscles. It gives you a kind of strength that it's kind of like that farmer strength where you see those farm boys picking up
Yeah.
those big hay barrels and they've been like that all their life, is because you keep putting that weight on you until you eventually are going to be able to move it. So that kind of training, it's like everybody, you got to also listen to your body. If your body's telling you, yo, I can't do this, well, then maybe you can't do it. If your body's telling you this exercise works for me and I'm seeing results, listen to your body, then do that exercise. You know, um, don't do shit you see another dude doing if your body's not designed to do that,
Right, right,
or you
right.
didn't work into that. Um, there are a lot of things I tell people all the time. They see me in the gym, and the way I do my push-ups, I do my push-ups upside down. I do my push-ups. I put my hands on the floor and my feet against the wall, and I start with 10 of those. I'll do four
Oh, like
sets of
standing
10.
man, like a
Yeah,
standing man. Yeah.
yeah, but I'm just upside down, right? So a lot of people sometimes get impressed by that, and I'll see like younger dudes come in, and then later on in the day, they're in the corner trying to do it, landing on their neck, right? Calmly walk over to them and I tell them, my father made me do those since I was 5. I've been doing
Mm,
I've been doing that for a very long time. That's why I'm able to do this. I do different kind of workouts and different, because my father believed that this was my dad, that he was a boxer, and
oh, it
they shot
runs in the
my father.
family.
Yeah, but they shot my father 6 times, and
Oh,
then he went to America. Nah, he didn't die. Don't be sorry. He took
okay.
those 6 shots like a champion, got up, and went to America for real.
Wow.
And he didn't take it like he went to the hospital. Of course, he was almost dead. His brother was, I guess, died the same day they shot his brother and him, and like I don't know the people that were around him, but my dad ended up living. That's how tough he was. I say that jokingly, but yeah,
Oh, God bless, brother. God bless.
yeah. So like my dad always had us like training different ways, and my dad trained in Newark, New Jersey. I was born in Newark, New Jersey, and he would train the fighters out there and shit. And I would go in there. I've been to Atlantic City. I met like a whole bunch of like big fighters when I was younger. I probably know more fighters than I do, but I was so young there, and I was like 5'4", And then, like, when I started getting around 10, 11, that's when training increased and different things. But unfortunately, I took the wrong path in life when I got away from my dad, so, and the rest is history. But um, I'm much older and I enjoy boxing, and there's other ways to give back and meet my favorite fighters and stuff. So I decided to do this, and here I am with you guys. But yeah, I tell guys all the time, when I train, or like if I see somebody else training or doing something, they either had to be doing that for a long time. They didn't just wake out of bed and do that. Like,
Mm.
don't chase these people. And if you're serious about something, build other muscles first in order to get you in the position to give yourself a better shot of doing those particular workouts. Gymnastic workouts, those were the mothers. That's what kind of workouts we would try to do. Those guys on the bar with the Eagles, and they used to train in the colleges and Holy Cross. I was watching them train in Clark University. I seen them train in a whole bunch of shit. And those workouts, you think boxing workouts are hard? Oh my god, those things are no joke. I can't say I can do that shit. I
Right,
know
right.
that shit was, they're like floating on their hands, putting it was ridiculous. But I would try new things. I would always push my body and my limits. But yeah, to this boxing stuff, man, absolutely. We have a lot of amazing fights, still scheduled. We got a lot of big fights coming out at the end of the year. We got Dubois, Joshua. They're going to be closing out. We're going to be seeing, I think, Naoya Inoue at December. He should be fighting Sam Goodman. If he doesn't back out of this fight. We still have a lot of amazing guys that are going to try to close out. As you heard, and I heard, Tank Davis was supposed to have the November date. Let's see what
Yeah.
happens with that. Shakur injured his hand, which I believe is a blessing in disguise, because now him and William Cepeda will be more around the line. And if we don't get this, the one good thing with what's his name, Lomachenko, the one good thing about Lomachenko, guess what belt he has? The
The idea.
IB. They don't boo, they don't play. And when his mandatory comes around and they fill out, guess what's gonna happen? Oh, you don't want to fight him? Stripped, strip. So he can play fuck right now with that belt. Say, no, my heart's not in it. I don't want to fight Tank Davis. For now, he could do all that shit right now, right? Right? But eventually, that mandatory is gonna catch up to that ass. So all we
But you
really gotta do, yeah, go ahead.
you think Loma's ducking anybody?
No, look. Who am I to tell Loma what to do? And who am I to tell Loma that he has to fight Tank Davis? Because technically, he don't have to fight Tank Davis. There's no
Mm.
law. There's no law in boxing that says two champions got to fight each other. There's no law.
Fact.
You don't become
Yeah.
my mandatory. What makes me fight you is you make me an offer I can't refuse. You tell me that, yeah, how valuable is my belt to you? Or what is my vision? See, as a champion, there's fighters that can be content with just one belt. They never had no desire unifying. So they were over here in their own world with their own belt, getting their own publicity. Their own women are throwing themselves. They're having a ball. They don't need nothing else. And here you come tapping me on my shoulder, talking about daring to be great. I want to fight the best. I want your belt. Bro, go over there and fight the other champions. I'm still taking photo shoots. And you tap me on the shoulder again. I'll give you $2 million to fight me. Now you got my attention. You see?
Right, right.
So when it comes to saying Loma's ducking Tank Davis, I'm not sure if these guys realize you can't call him a duck when there was no obligation. Meaning he was never obligated to fight Tank Davis. It's not like Tank Davis was his mandatory.
Right.
So where does the
Right.
duck come in? We were negotiating. We were probably talking, but if I wanted to kill everybody's notion about ducking, but I just let them keep going. But truth be told, there was no there was no obligation to you. This is just an offer. Hey, I challenge you. Yes or no? Oh, you don't accept and you're ducking me. No. Just because you say you're ducking me, that's just your words. But technically, we never had no reason to fight. Just that the fact that you want me to fight you for your belt, for that one of us have two belts. But technically, no. The only thing that my job requires me to do once I won that belt is to honor my mandatories. And guess what?
Exactly.
That's not your
Exactly.
name. Your name is not on my mandatory list, Poppy. But if you want to be on my mandatory list, drop your belt, get into my rankings, climb up the rankings, and make yourself my number one contender. Now I'm obligated to fight you.
Right. Right.
Other than that, uh, it's up to him as a champion. And not every champion, styles make fights. And maybe his style doesn't cater to his style and he doesn't like it. And he says to himself, you know what? It's not that I'm scared of him. It's that maybe he has a style that I can't catch up to. And I'm not so eager to go back to obscurity. I'm not so eager to put my belt on the line so that you can win it because I know you're slightly better than me. Well, guess what? I'm not obligated to fight you. I'm going to go this way and fight my mandatories and do this and stay with my belt. There's some guys that have the right to do that. And for that reason, we call them a duck and say, hey, but anyway, it is what it is. That's boxing for you. So look, Sam, I'm about to cut this off short, man. Sam. Sam.
Yeah. No, it was good chopping it up with you, bro. You'll see me in the chat. I just
Yeah, absolutely.
I've never saw you drop the link before, so I just thought I'd hit it. But in the chat, my name is Stoic Slugger.
Okay.
Yeah,
Stoic Slugger. Slugger. All
Stoic
right.
Slugger. Yeah. I've changed it, right? But hey, bro, I appreciate you having me on, man. I know you got to get going, and thanks for your time, bro. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for stopping by. And, anytime I'm going to use this StreamYard and start having people come on and we can start talking boxing. Well, my neck is stiff and I need to smoke a blunt. And we've been on for 2 hours. So listen,
Yeah.
thank you, man. Hey, everyone out there, fight
See
fans,
you,
thank
bro.
you for tuning in. Thank you, Sam, for stepping by. Please don't forget to smash that like button. As always, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And I'm on to the next one after this one here at Round One Sports Talk. Peace. It's been an amazing show. Thank you for everybody in chat family. Yo, Trump, you's a sucker. You stirring shit up. I see you in there. I've been watching your shit, but my boys have been on your ass. But anyway, one day we'll talk. Bam. You're doing good. Everybody else, love you guys. Love yourselves. We'll talk. Trump, I'm gonna answer them questions, them comments you was talking, but on a later date. Come back to me.